Confidence is the present tense of hope. It is not the path which is the difficulty. Rather, it is the difficulty which is the path. Life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards. People demand freedom of speech as a compensation for the freedom of thought which they seldom use. There are two ways to be fooled. One is to believe what isn't true. The other is to refuse to believe what is true. What you are capable of achieving is determined by your talent and ability. What you attempt to do is determined by your motivation. How well you do something is determined by your attitude. The man who complains about the way the ball bounces is likely the one who dropped it. Happiness is the greatest hiding place for despair. Everything ends badly, otherwise it would not end. On the secretly blushing cheek is reflected the glow of the heart. First, we become the best, then we'll become first. Therefore, do not deceive yourself of all deceivers. Fear most yourself. I opened my eyes and saw the real world, and I began to laugh, and I haven't stopped since. Don't run if you can walk. Don't walk if you can stand. Don't stand if you can sit. Don't sit if you can lie down. A no does not hide anything, but a yes very easily becomes a deception. The most common form of despair is not being who you are. Don't let failure get you down. Babe Ruth struck out over 1,300 times. No matter how bad someone has it, there are others who have it worse. Remembering that makes life a lot easier and allows you to take pleasure in the blessings you have been given. What if everything in the world were a misunderstanding? What if laughter were really tears? If you are killing time, it's not murder, it's suicide. I don't think we can win every game, just the next one. Everybody is looking for instant success, but it doesn't work that way. You build a successful life, one day at a time. My sorrow is my castle. The key to winning is choosing to do God's will and loving others with all you've got. You can't motivate a group of people or a team. You have to motivate people individually, and that motivation has to be in an environment in which that person has a goal, something they want to accomplish in their lives. I believe that having a spiritual life is so important in everybody's life. To be in spiritlessness is the most terrible thing of all. Sacrifice, discipline, and prayer are essential. We gain strength through God's word. We receive grace from the sacrament. And when we fumble due to sin, and it's gonna happen, confession puts us back on the field. It always amazes me that spectators want to coach, coaches want to officiate, and officials just want to watch the game. Only the noble of heart are called to difficulty. It is better to try something and fail than to try nothing and succeed. The result may be the same, but you won't be. We always grow more through defeats than victories. If you don't have many friends, that means you have a lot of life experience. A team wins with the elimination of mistakes and with people who want to win and can't stand losing. What's important now? To evaluate the past, focus on the future and tell you what you have to do in the present. If what you did yesterday seems big, you haven't done anything today. On this team, we're all united in a common goal to keep my job. Winners and losers aren't born. They are the products of how they think. It's always better to face the truth, no matter how uncomfortable, than to continue coddling a lie. The highest and most beautiful things in life are not to be heard about, nor read about, nor seen, but if one will are to be lived. Cultivate the will. This is the armor that preserves the mind. Wherever there is a crowd, there is untruth. I would rather be a swineherd understood by the swine than a poet misunderstood by men. You must have dreams and goals if you are ever going to achieve anything in this world. One day, you are drinking the wine, and the next day you are picking the grapes. Boredom is the root of all evil, the despairing refusal to be oneself. Nothing is as good as it seems, and nothing is as bad, but somewhere between reality falls. Hope is a passion for the possible. The way you motivate a football team is to eliminate the unmotivated ones. Our life always expresses the result of our dominant thoughts. The truth is a trap. You cannot get it without it getting you. You cannot get the truth by capturing it, only by its capturing you. You build a successful life, a day at a time. I used to pray that God would make me a great athlete, and He never did. If you've been there, no explanation is necessary. If you haven't, none is adequate. Be that self that one is. Life has its own hidden forces, which you can only discover by living. The freedom to do your own thing ends when you have obligations and responsibilities. Take away the paradox from the thinker, and you have a professor. Everybody needs 4 things in life: something to do, someone to love, someone to believe in, and something to hope for. The best response to criticism is to smile and forget. Sleeping is the height of genius. I think that we have opportunities all around us. Sometimes we just don't recognize them. Virtually nothing is impossible in this world if you just put your mind to it and maintain a positive attitude. The tyrant dies, and his rule is over. The martyr dies, and his rule begins. Fall from idleness, being the root of all evil. It is rather the only true good. Teamwork is the foundation of success. The 3 universal questions that an individual asks of his coach, player, employee, employer are you committed to excellence? And do you care about me? Don't tell me how rocky the sea is. Just bring the ship in. It's not the load that breaks you down. It's the way you carry it. Many of us pursue pleasure with such breathless haste that we hurry past it. How do you know what it's like to be stupid if you've never been smart? People eyeing you as a potential leader tend to ask 3 questions. Are you committed? Do you care about me? Can I trust you? People understand me so poorly that they don't even understand my complaints about them not understanding me. The best way to save face is not to use the lower half. The problem with having a sense of humor is often that people you use it on aren't in a very good mood. Their only intelligent, tactical response to life's horror is to laugh defiantly at it. To dare to lose one's footing momentarily. Not to dare is to lose oneself. Our life is a game whose rules we don't know. Without self-discipline, success is impossible, period. Life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you respond to it. You always have to prepare for the obstacles that are going to come. Consequently, when they do come, it doesn't affect you mentally near as much as when you're unprepared for them. For without risk, there is no faith, and the greater the risk, the greater the faith. When all is said and done, more is said than done. Only the unprepared are overcome by pressure. I do know this. God does answer your prayers, but it's not always in the way you expect. God knows what's best for us, though. So there's no need to worry when things don't go how we originally wanted them to go. Faith is the highest passion in a man. If you don't make a total commitment to whatever you are doing, then you start looking to bail out the first time the boat starts leaking. The self-assured believer is a greater sinner in the eyes of God than the troubled disbeliever. No one has ever drowned in sweat. In this world, you're either growing or you're dying, so get in motion and grow. If you burn your neighbor's house down, it doesn't make your house look any better. We aren't where we want to be. We aren't where we ought to be. But thank goodness, we aren't where we used to be. So many times, people are afraid of competition when it should bring out the best in us. We all have talents and abilities, so why be intimidated by other people's skills? The standards you establish for others must reflect the standards you set for yourself. No one will follow a hypocrite. You will never be indecisive if you know your purpose. To be human is not a fact, but a task. Motivation is simple. You eliminate those who are not motivated. Winners embrace hard work. They love the discipline of it, the trade-off they're making to win. Losers, on the other hand, see it as punishment, and that's the difference. The thing that cowardice fears most is decision. What distinguishes all love from lost is the fact that it bears an impression of eternity. The unhappy person is never present to themselves because they always live in the past or the future. Those who know Notre Dame, no explanations necessary. Those who don't, no explanation will suffice. It's good to be successful, but it's great to be significant. We were given the commandment, love your neighbor as yourself. But if this commandment is correctly understood, then you can read in it the opposite statement. You must love yourself properly. Leap of faith, yes, but only after reflection. Knowledge is a wealth that cannot be stolen. Once you label me, you negate me. Momentum is whatever your attitude determines it to be. You were not born a winner, and you were not born a loser. You are what you make yourself be. Anxiety is the dizziness of freedom. It's the extra effort after you have done your best that creates victory. It's a better view if you're standing up than if you're laying down. How you respond to the challenge in the second half will determine what you become after the game, whether you are a winner or a loser. For victory in life, we've got to keep focused on the goal, and the goal is heaven. Show me someone who has done something worthwhile, and I'll show you someone who has overcome adversity. People settle for a level of despair they can tolerate and call it happiness. Take a chance, and you may lose. Take not a chance, and you have lost already. You'll never get ahead of anyone as long as you try to get even with him. In life, be a participant, not a spectator. All winning teams are goal-oriented. Teams like these win consistently because everyone connected with them concentrates on specific objectives. They go about their business with blinders on. Nothing will distract them from achieving their aims. Everybody wants to talk about their rights and privileges. 25 years ago, people talked about their obligations and responsibilities. As spoken by Lou Holtz, former Notre Dame coach. God answers prayers, but he doesn't always answer it your way. The more silent you are, the more you are able to hear. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. The door to happiness opens outward. Your talent determines what you can do. Your motivation determines how much you are willing to do. Your attitude determines how well you do it. Do it or don't do it, you will regret both. God looks after children, animals, and idiots. It is impossible to exist without passion. What is youth? A dream. What is love? The dream's content. It is better to get lost in the passion than to lose the passion. If you're bored with life, you don't get up every morning with a burning desire to do things. You don't have enough goals. You've got to have great athletes to win. I don't care who the coach is. You can't win without good athletes, but you can lose with them. This is where coaching makes the difference. Do right. Do your best. Treat others as you want to be treated. The question is not to be or not to be. It is what we should be until we are not. The function of prayer is not to influence God, but rather to change the nature of the one who prays. For it is not what happens to me that makes me great, but it is what I do. We pretend to be unable to understand life because we know very well that the minute we understand, we are obliged to act accordingly. It is so hard to believe because it is so hard to obey. If you want to be loathsome to God, just run with the herd. There are certain things in this world we all have in common, such as time. Everybody has 60 seconds to a minute, 60 minutes to an hour, 24 hours to a day. The difference is what we do with that time and how we use it. Don't ever promise more than you can deliver, but always deliver more than you promise. To be a woman is something so strange, so confusing, and so complicated that only a woman could put up with it. Faith begins precisely where thinking leaves off. When people need love and understanding and support the most is when they deserve it the least. You become what you understand. Why bother remembering a past that cannot be made into a present? Remember, every day, some ordinary person does something extraordinary. Today, it's your turn. Never settle for second when first is available. Build your empire on the firm foundation of the fundamentals. Life has become a bitter drink to me, and yet it must be taken in drops, counted one by one. Once you are born in this world, you're old enough to die. Man always hopes for what he should remember, and forever remembers what he should hope for. You might not be able to outthink, outmarket, or outspend your competition, but you can outwork them. Don't be a spectator. Don't let life pass you by. The more people who believe something, the more apt it is to be wrong. The person who's right often has to stand alone. Don't tell your problems to people. 80% don't care, and the other 20% are glad you have them. You're never as good as everyone tells you when you win, and you're never as bad as they say when you lose. Whoever has learned to be anxious in the right way has learned the ultimate. Ability is what you're capable of doing. Motivation determines what you do. Attitude determines how well you do it. My standpoint armed neutrality. Underconfidence breeds underachievement. Life is not a problem to be solved, but a reality to be experienced. I never learn anything talking. I only learn things when I ask questions. Learn not to tell anything to anyone, because only then your life will definitely get better. A woman holds a man's penis tightly when she's completely satisfied with the man. In the successful organization, no detail is too small to escape close attention. The highest, after all, is not to comprehend the highest, but to do it. Face the facts of being what you are, for that is what change is what you are. Truth always rests with the minority, and the minority is always stronger than the majority because the minority is generally formed by those who really have an opinion, while the strength of a majority is illusory. The most painful state of being is remembering the future, particularly the one you'll never have. In order to help another effectively, you must understand what he understands. Instruction begins when you put yourself in his place so that you may understand what he understands and in the way he understands it. The answer is surprisingly simple. Just do right. Live an honorable life. I follow 3 rules. Do the right thing, do the best you can, and always show people you care. Everyone goes through adversity in life, but what matters is how you learn from it.